All right. So this might be a bit of an interesting or weird question, but I always wondered this from a guy's perspective who has been trying to book gigs for years and kind of I've basically not given up booking gigs, but I only play the places I know I can get a gig now.
Yeah.
How do you find like being a female doing like live music and solo acts and band stuff? Do you find do you think it might be easier or harder to book gigs from what you've seen?
Because I haven't done it as a man.
No. Yeah.
But I think
because you gig way more than me, which is why I was I was asking.
I think you've got to just go for it and put yourself out there. I joined a bunch of Facebook groups now, and so I've gotten a bunch of gigs. Thank you to everyone who's booked us. Just by putting my stuff up on like Melbourne Musicians, or people do call outs for support bands. Mainly because as we've been doing a lot of writing, I don't want to book like headlining shows more than once every 2 or 3 months, just because we're still working on new material. But it's definitely. Sometimes venues are very busy. Sometimes you won't get a response. But over the years, I've sort of talked to a sort of bunch of people, and I feel like I've learned how to streamline my, email that I send. So, it doesn't have too much stuff that they don't want to know. It's got all the direct links, and maybe, you don't fill it up with a picture that's going to take ages to load. You just need to have, everything there available so they can quickly click a link and see, and then of course follow up and that. But on the female thing, I don't know if it's just gotten better. I think, I'm pretty optimistic that things have gotten better. It's definitely a different feel from when I first started. I remember a few times, even 2 years ago when we started the Featherheads, if we like sort of walked into a venue, this is after booking, they would defer to everyone around me. And so, but nowadays I'm not sure if maybe I've just gotten like,
You're a rock star now. Everyone knows you.
No, maybe I've just like, know how to swell up a bit more as myself and take charge. But, things are sort of moving, hopefully, I feel, in the right direction.
There's plenty of female artists in Melbourne, right? So it wasn't the point to sort of say, there's not many,
No,
like that. But I just wondered if it sounds like more like you're just extremely organised and you've got a really great process and you follow it up, and I think that's probably it's more about hard work than maybe it being easier or harder.
I mean, it's hard work. It's hard work to book. You have to start making, a rapport and relationship with band bookers. But I still don't feel like, I know some certain people and I, jump on other people who know the other people. And but, there's like, I do gig in the same places. We've been gigging at a few new places, which has been really fun.
Cool.
We've especially band places that I previously, unless I was doing a little support slot, wouldn't have gigged in. So that's been really fun.
The band thing will definitely open up more opportunities at certain places.
Yes. But also the band thing, there's so much gear to bring all the time.
Hey, that's part of the fun. You can just say, hey, my shoulder's hurting. Come on, help me in. No. As a guitarist, you got your hard case, you got your amps, your pedal board now as well.
I know, there's all the things.
That's great.
I used to, because I was playing horns in a group for Amber Isles, and then I played a little bit of keyboard, and I started to think, it was so great because I only had to bring like one little horn, and then I was bringing my friend Sean and my cornet, and then the keyboard, and then the keyboard stand. I was like, this is getting to be so many things. And then, I went back to just me. And then I started with the Featherheads, and then I was like, and now I've got my amp and my pedal board, and
Yeah.
I always just bring one guitar, but I have been thinking that it may be time to be bringing 2 guitars in case I break a string.
Yeah, it is easier, especially if you've only got one set and you don't have time to really
restring and do that.
I always have a second one in the car.
Yeah,
or in the venue.
That's it's an interesting thing because someone, I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, but now you're aware that you always are dicing with danger by having one guitar and sometimes no new strings with me. They're like, now is the time that, you're just going to consistently break strings and do that.
Has your guitar been pretty reliable so far?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I want to touch some wood, but I can't.
No, I got a crappy, cheap glass desk here, table.
Yeah, my housemate actually had a gig last night and he said, could I borrow your acoustic just in case I feel Like I might break a string and I've got no spares. So then he broke a string on his guitar and then on my guitar. So
wow. Yeah, it also depends on your style too. If you're more rhythm based, you're not probably going to break a whole lot of strings unless the pick does something really weird.
Yeah, or just if they're, at the end of their journey. Take strings too far.
Yeah, or if it's like as cold as it is out here and then you go in and weird stuff can happen. In terms of like your live band performance now, what kind of style is it compared to what you were doing like on acoustic? Is it similar?
It is similar.
So I don't think I've actually seen you play live since you've got this new lineup. So I haven't seen you in ages.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I do take a lot of the songs that I do by myself. So I still do a lot of the Featherhead song, just me.
Yeah.
But with the band, they do sound a lot different. Just like bigger and slightly faster sometimes, or slower, awkwardly. But just they're very different. And the sound, I think we were trying to work it out because I feel like genres in music are just this thing everyone wants you to say what genre you are, and it's just impossible.
So what genre? No.
Well, we were like, I guess we're indie rock, but we're kind of like swamp rock sometimes, like there's really sort of darker songs going in there. And I also went off on a tangent of trying to write those, delightful, slightly murdery ballads that we do. And I got really into that for a little bit.
That's a great genre. Murder ballads.
Murder ballads. I would, love to just be in a band that just did like murder ballads, not for a long time, but I feel like it would be great with all of the pedals and.
So was that like a dark? How would you explain that? Like a murder ballad?
Murder ballad, just be a murder ballad band. That's all we would do is off into the distance.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, it's different, and I have been trying to push myself with the songwriting. So like one of the songs on the EP, Howling, it's about the Russian fable of they're kind of like mermaids. So they're called, I think they're called Rusilkas, and they were left at the altar or died or in waterways, and so then they entice men in and like tickle them to death with their hair. I decided to write a really darker song about that, and that sort of influenced a lot of the sound because that's when we were just starting out. We do play quite funky things as well, though. So it's hard to say the style exactly.
Yeah, well, you got some links online for this stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll post everything in the description of the YouTube video. If you're listening just on the audio, it'll be at inthebluespodcast.com, and they can click through and check out all that stuff. So thank you so much for doing this. Can we do a handshake through these mics? I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no worries. That was great. You're the first guest other than Rick.
Oh, really?
In ever, maybe, in the house. So, no, I had Dave here actually once as well. They're one of my other friends. So, yeah, no, thanks again. And this is Peny Bohan, and check her out on all the links in the description below. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching the In the Blues podcast. Subscribe for more episodes.